Today's webinar will focus on Marianist high school and middle school education. And we're very fortunate to have with us three outstanding Marianist educators from across the Marianist province of the United States. Kate Beskid, give a wave, Kate. Kate is Director of Campus Ministry and Shine Moderator at Chaminade College Preparatory Middle School in Chatsworth, California. Matt Daly. Matt is Director of Campus Ministry at Chaminade College Preparatory in St. Louis, Missouri. And Bill Wraddell. Bill is religion teacher and coordinator of mission effectiveness at Villa Angela St. Joseph High School in Cleveland, Ohio. Each of them brings a wealth of experience and a deep understanding of Marianist education. And we'll begin by asking each of them to share a bit more about their own backgrounds. Kate, would you care to begin, please?
Hi, everyone. As you heard, my name is Kate Beskid. I've been involved with Marianist Education as a student as well as now my vocation. I'm an alumni of Chaminade, West Hills, and Chatsworth. And 16 years ago, they were crazy enough to hire me as a full-time classroom teacher. So through my 16 years here at the middle school, I've been a religion teacher for 5 classes as a full load here at Chaminade. I've moderated student council, I've been the track coach, and a member of the innovative teaching team. Now, currently, and for the last 5 years, I've been campus minister. I've also am lucky that I still get to teach 2 classes, so 7th and 8th grade. I am the religion department chair. I coach cheerleading. I'm the moderator of the Shine team, which is our student leadership program for our campus ministry office. I'm a member of the MIT team. And 2 years ago, I went through the formation to become a Marianist affiliate. And I also used to work for the Life program and was the regional coordinator for the Pacific program and a team member for about 7 years. So in Catholic education, we wear a lot of hats, but that's kind of a summary of who I am.
Thanks, Kate. Now you know why I'm asking them to introduce themselves. Matt, would you go next, please?
Sure, there we go, unmuted. Hello, everybody. So my name's Matt Daly. I've been a Marianist educator for 18 years, always in St. Louis, but there are 3 high schools in St. Louis, and I've worked at 2 of them. My first was St. John Vianney High School. I worked there for 11 years as both theology teacher and campus minister. While there, I also served as the Life moderator, so Life moderator for 11 years there. During that time, I got to go to all 3 of the different Life programs, never on the coordinating team, but as a moderator in Pacific and Texas and out in California as well, or in Dayton as well. I was the mission integration team chair also at Vianney, and I currently serve in that role now at my current school, Chaminade College Prep in St. Louis, where I'm the director of campus ministry. Other things I've done, well, just several MIT visits to the different schools as a part of my role as the MIT chair. And I'm on the board of directors at the Marianist Retreat and Conference Center here in town, which is a different type of education that the Marianists are able to perform. So.
Thanks, Matt. And last but not least, Bill Wraddell. You need to unmute your, there you go. You're good.
Okay, I'm good. Hi, I'm Bill Wraddell. I'm a graduate of Marianist Education. I graduated from St. Joseph High School, which was staffed by the Marianists. 4 years later, came back to teach at the high school, and so I've been there the last 48 years. Throughout that time, I've taught religion, but had a lot of different roles, as other people have as well. I've helped with the campus ministry team over the years. My current title, in addition to teaching, is Coordinator of Mission Effectiveness, we're a dual charism school. We're also sponsored by the Ursulines. So I work with them as well as with the Marianists in terms of integrating the charisms in the school. Also, as part of that role, I am the MIT chair. I am coordinating the charism orientation program, things like that. Also, as Matt said, I've been a part of the visitation team, the various Marianist high schools. I've done some presenting at some of the summer Marianist programs for the consortium, and I'm currently coordinating the TAM conference during the summer.
Great, thanks. Thanks to all of you. And thank you very much for being here, being willing to be part of our panel this evening. The title of the webinar is The Gift of Marianist Education, and we want to spend at least a fair amount of our time talking about the gift that Marianist education has been to many of us, to our students, to our colleagues, and to the world. But since students are the focus of all education, including Marianist, let's first talk a little bit about our students. In your personal experience, what are some of the ways that Marianist education has been a gift for the students you've known? Matt, why don't you start us off?
There we go. Sure. I was thinking about this question about what makes the Marianists unique, and certainly our family spirit is something that distinguishes us from the other schools just because we focus on it so very much. And a way that we live it out very well here at Chaminade and St. Louis is we have the house system, which many of the different schools have as well. I was just leading a junior retreat last month, and one of my leaders, senior leader for the junior retreat, gave a witness talk, and it was about Christ as friend. He talked to the juniors about how he started at Chaminade in the 8th grade, where 6 through 12, all boys. He started in the 8th grade, and it's a tough year to join the school, but his mentor group, which is like the homeroom for the house system, was led by seniors. And he said the highlight of every single day was having that 15 minutes with his 3 seniors, one of whom was from Russia, one of whom was from Rwanda, and then the other of whom was just from a different part of St. Louis, a very different part of town than what he grew up in. So the house system is just a different way that we kind of build the sodalities among the students and allow them to get to know people from different grade levels in a very good way. And I think that that's so Marianist. It's a great way that we follow that model that's been around for these 200 years with the Marianist family. So that was the first thing that came to mind. And one other thing I'll share is just Father Oscar had been at Chaminade until he just became the provincial, and something that he started about 6 years ago was a vocations club on our campus. Again, he saw that as, when we talk about the education of the whole person, he thought that that was something that the school lacked. And we hadn't sent somebody to the seminary for a dozen years. Father Oscar started the Vocations Club 6 years ago with his vision for what the whole person needs, and we sent 2 of those kids already to the seminary. So I guess that just speaks to, again, the education of the whole person, the way we do it with the family, and that's an experience that those kids wouldn't have had without the Marianist charism.
Thanks, Matt. Bill?
Okay, there it is. Okay. I was thinking, in a sense, you could talk about how Chaminade had a preferential option for youth. And I think that's one of the great gifts that we offer our kids, to say you are very much a part of this, that it's not something we do or we give you, but you're very much involved. So I think, for example, like our campus ministry program, where students have been so actively involved in whether it's planning masses and prayer services, retreats, outreaches, and things like that, which I think draws them into their own sense. I think another big piece of this, and kind of it just flows naturally, has been Kairos, where again, student leaders and that sort of thing. So ever since we adopted that. And one of the things that we've seen as an outgrowth, I think, of all of this is each of the last 3 years, we've had a student who is not Catholic who decided, I want to become Catholic. I want to become a part of this. And no real pressure, but it was really kind of them sensing, I want something more, and I see it here. I think another key piece is really to give them a sense of mission. You're not just here to get an education, but you're part of something much, much bigger. So I think that's something we very much offer them. I was just thinking of one of the students I was with on retreat yesterday, and watching just in about the last year, a real experience of growth, conversion, self-awareness that I think came because the whole atmosphere encourages that. And so I think that's been part of the gift that we've had to offer.
Great, thanks. Kate?
Well, I think kind of building on what Matt discussed, it's that true understanding of that they have a home here and that they are part of a family. We have the house system as well, and I think that has really added a lot to the middle school experience. I think for our community, we truly treat every person as an individual and not just a number or someone who's paying the bills of their tuition. We want everyone to feel like they are at home here. We celebrate the good times and we comfort during the hard times. And, one example that came to my mind was, unfortunately, both of our campuses, Shauna is my counterpart at the high school. We're dealing right now with a student, a freshman, who is in critical condition after a situation in an accident. And so he's in the hospital, and we're really, we're dealing with that hands on deck right now. He went through the middle school. His teachers are very, very concerned. He's a current high schooler, and the students are very upset and just want to do something to help. And so I think we're there to support his family and our students and our teachers. Tomorrow we're having a rosary, we're making cards, we're doing things that can just celebrate him and hopefully help him recover and come back to us soon. I also think that we look at the signs of the times, as Chaminade famously said, and we really help every child grow into the best versions of themselves. Currently, we're working on our pretty new strategic plan, and one of the things that was identified through our strategic plan, through our WASC document, through our MIT plan, was that our students are dealing with a lot of wellness issues. Now, we want to help our students, not just spiritually, but in terms of mental issues, physical issues, and help them become who they are and be ready for whatever life puts in front of them. So I think our family spirit has given us a great opportunity to come up with programming and to really deal with issues that maybe weren't as apparent when I was in school or any of you were in school, because they're much more, I think, affecting our community. So I think it's the greatest part about Chaminade is that we are truly a family, and I'm sure each of your institutions would say the same, that we are able to help every child go through all of the difficulties in life and also celebrate those happy times as well.
Great, thanks. Now, all of you have been in education and in Marianist education for a number of years. And I know you're not in it for the money. So there is certainly something that you've gotten out of Marianist education too over those years. So I wonder if you could comment a bit on in what ways Marianist education has been a gift for you personally. Any of you can, who would like to start?
I guess I'll go. I think I owe my whole life to my Marianist education, being an alumni of Chaminade. It gave me the foundation of a solid education that, gave me a lot of opportunities as I grew. I married someone from my high school. I have a beautiful 2-year-old little girl because of Chaminade. It is truly my vocation, and I say this to every prospective family I meet with. I hope to be here for the rest of my life. I wake up every day thankful to come to work, and I don't think other professions can probably say that. It is truly my world. All of my friends, I look at my wedding party picture, either went to Chaminade or work at Chaminade. It is my life, and I am so thankful. I truly think it instilled in me the excitement and the urge to be a lifelong learner, and I continuously want to grow in my vocation as a Marianist educator, and I think that's because of what I experienced as a 6th grader all the way up to senior year here at Chaminade. And now as a teacher, I think it's even just grown my love for Chaminade, because I get to see the other side of it, and I get to see the students and how much they can get out of the education, and to see them grow, especially being on the middle school campus for up to 7 years, is the biggest gift for me, because I get to be a part of their Kairos program when they're a senior in high school. I get to see them at graduation. They come back and lead retreats for me on the middle school campus. So it just is so fulfilling to now see the gift that I received as an alumni and as a student of Chaminade, to give that to others as a teacher.
Thanks. Bill or Matt?
I'll go. So I guess I'm kind of the new kid insofar as I wasn't educated by the Marianists. I didn't know the Marianists when I signed my first contract in 2002. And Larry Keller was my principal. Most of you know him. He sent me to the Marianist Education Consortium there in Dayton before I started working as a theology teacher. He wanted me to get to know something about the charism. And I met Bill there for the first time. I remember at that particular one. The topic that we studied in 2002 was Blessed Chaminade's leadership style. And so I learned about Blessed Chaminade, not having known him at all, learn about the charism that he brought to the church. And after, I guess at that point it was 8 or 9 years of Jesuit education, I walked out on the campus of the University of Dayton at night, and I looked up to the heavens, and I thought, this is like a little conversion for me, because I'd been so steeped in the Jesuit tradition and learned so much about that charism that it was something entirely new, and I've really enjoyed getting to know it over the years. One thing that it's been for me is the collegiality that I feel among so many Marianist educators around the world. People are just so open and so willing to help me grow, and willing to welcome me into their communities and to grow with me. I've loved the discipleship of equals that the Marianists offer to us. As a layperson in the church, there aren't always great leadership opportunities, but as a member of the Marianist family, I've been so welcomed, and I've been encouraged to lead in the different ways that I'm able. So just being empowered as a layperson to be a faith leader has been fantastic for me in my life. It's, again, as Kate said, it's been a wonderful community to explore my vocation in. So they've helped me grow in that way, and I like to think that I've helped advocate for the Marianists too, and help them grow as well.
Great, thanks. Bill?
Well, for me, a lot of it just resounds in so many ways with both what Matt and Kate said. When my mother was alive, I used to tell my parents that the greatest gift you ever gave me was my Catholic education. And I realized how much the Marianist dimension has formed me as the person that I am. certainly an important part of that has been my relationship with Mary, and kind of seeing that as more than just devotion, but Mary is the model, Mary is the inspiration, looking to her in that way. As Matt was saying, the discipleship of equals, that's what captured me. I remember, in high school, we didn't talk about what it meant to be Marianist. We picked it up by osmosis and things like that. But when I first heard Chaminade's vision, and especially the discipleship of equals outline, I thought, this is my role in the church. I can remember back early on in my career, so many students would say to me, well, gee, if you feel that strongly, why don't you become a priest or a brother? And never felt that as a particular calling, felt very much that my calling was as a layperson, really found that validated in Marianist education. I think, as both of them were saying too, the sense of family we have, not only in our schools, to enjoy going to work, again, how many people can say, that they really do enjoy it? Because I work with great people. I work in a great setting. I really love my students and that sort of thing. That's a privilege. But, I'm just looking at who's here, and over the years in terms of so many encounters within the Marianist community, we've become a family there. I can go almost anywhere in the country and, it's like, I know this person, I know that person. We have connections there, and it really brings home a sense of what it means to be a part of the family of Mary. In addition to that, I would say too, the other ways, like Kate mentioned, I'm also a Marianist affiliate, and I'm also a part of a Marianist lay community here, so, it feeds me, so I can kind of go back, do what I do, and I bring what I've, gotten out of my Marianist education also to the community. So, I've been blessed in so many ways.
Thanks. Education is a people business, and that's come across in what you've shared so far. But I wonder, are there a particular Marianist educator or educators who have shaped you in some way, who you look to as that was a really key person for me, whether that be a Marianist religious or a lay person?
I'll go real quick. I've got three examples to pick from. One is Larry Keller, who was my first principal for 9 years or so at Vianney, and he was such a great faith leader as the principal. He recognized that his role as an administrator was to be the faith leader of the school, and he was not shy to pray and to talk about his faith, and certainly to talk about the charism of the Marianist family as the principal. So Larry showed me how important it is to be willing to stand up and share and to be a great advocate, again, as a lay leader in the community. The second great formator was the Life team in the Central Life in the year 2003. That was my first time I ever went to Life. And I think that the best way for somebody for a new educator particularly, to learn the Marianist charism and to be completely immersed in it is to go to one of the Life programs over the summer and to have that formation experience with people in intensive community that they're able to form. I still remember almost all the members of the team. It was so formational to me. And then finally, on Vianney's campus for many years was the Curie of Ars community. And when I first joined the school, it was kind of a retirement community of essentially retired brothers and priests. And then Father Tim Kenny became the community director, and he got them more engaged in the school. And all the different members of the community, from Father Don Cahill to Brother Len Rudy, Brother Mel Meyer, Brother Andy Kosmowski's in the chat. Hey, Brother Andy. All the people from the Curie of Ars community, just the friendships that I was able to form with those brothers and priests. And, also Father Tim Kenny and Father Oscar Vasquez, just from in town, seeing the passion that they had for the charism. And the gentle demeanor of those men, and with some of them to be able to go through the death process, even to see them, to be with them, and as the members of this retirement community went through that, it was a great gift.
Yeah, it's hard because there have been so many. But I think one of the key ones for me was Brother Mike O'Grady. He was the one, I was a sophomore in college, and he invited a group of college kids to go down to Dayton, where Father Faree, who was at that time the provincial, was speaking and talking about Chaminade's vision. And again, that's where, from that moment on, I've considered myself a lay Marianist. So I said, that's what I consider church. And so just number one, providing an opportunity like that. But also when I began teaching, Mike was the head of the department. And I am so grateful because I had a theological background, but no real educational background. And he was my mentor. He was the one who taught me so much. And again, there were a number of the Marianists across the board there. Tom Corrigan, who was kind of the first person to kind of even get me to think about education as a possible vocation. That had never been on my radar. And it was just shortly before I graduated from college that, he asked me if I ever considered doing something like that. I'm grateful to Mike because, again, when we started out, there was a real collegiality in the department. I got to observe his classes. He would come in with mine. We'd plan together, walk me through, and just so much of what I learned about, approach to Marianist education I got from him. I would say another person who's a very significant influence was Jim Heft, both in conversations with him, in reading his materials. And he was the first one. I heard him speak at one of our Chaminade Day celebrations, who kind of put all the pieces together for me. And I felt like, okay, I have all these different pieces, but how do they fit? How do we make sense of this? What is the Marianist vision of education? And he just laid it out so beautifully that ever since then, it's been so easy just to tap into and to be able then, too, to pass that on to others.
Great.
I have two. First would be Brother Skip Matthews. He was just an amazing example of just a Marianist in general. And as an educator, he didn't spend time necessarily in the classroom, but he was on our campus every single day, pretty much until he was unable to be here due to health reasons. Every single day, no matter what the weather was like. And in California, we start to lose it when it gets below 60 degrees. So he would be outside and he would greet every kid as they came into school. And it was just such a personal connection and something I try to model in my life. Personally, he was a huge mentor to me. He was so devoted to the Blessed Mother and almost took over as a father figure to me when my own father passed away. And our school has just really felt the loss of him. It's only been about 4 years now, and we still, I think, talk about him almost daily because he had such a presence on our campus. Not only was that such a example of a personal connection to students, but he truly lived out our CME of service, justice, and peace. He spent years and years in Africa and other countries. And while he was in the United States, he did a lot of hospice work. So he modeled for our students and also our faculty on how to give back and to serve. So he'd be my first one. And then the second one would be my principal, Michael Valentine. He was also my English teacher when I was a student here. And he has been principal for 14 years on our campus. He is a gifted Marianist educator. He lives out the charism personally and professionally. And I think it is phenomenal that with 700 students on our middle school campus, he knows every single child's name. I can hardly remember my classes, but he can remember all 700 students. And he's been teaching for close to 40 years now and will remember forever and ever every kid he's ever come into contact with. we'll go to reunion gatherings or alumni events, and he'll know the kids from my grade rather than myself. It's a pretty phenomenal gift. But he meets with every child throughout the year, interviews them, makes sure that they feel comfortable, and really has that personal connection similar to Brother Skip. And I think Mike has really transformed our school in the time of his being principal. And I think both of them, but Mike as well, has really believed in me professionally. Coming into teaching, I wasn't that confident in the beginning, and he gave me the courage and the faith in me that I needed to really become a leader on our campus. And I really owe it to Mike and to Brother Skip.
Well, thanks. In listening to those stories, I realized that there are some of us who know some or all of those people and can testify to those stories. But I think even for those of us who may not have known them, we've got a little better idea of who they are and were, and who they've been for you all as Marianist educators. So we know that Marianist education is not just about the school itself. It's not just about what happens there. Chaminade was not about just forming individual people. He was about changing the world. And so I'd like you to reflect a little bit on how Marianist education has been a gift beyond your particular school, how it's been a gift for the world, for your local community, for the church. Maybe there are some particular graduates who you can think of who've had an impact beyond their years at your school. Can you share any of that?
Sure. Oh, sorry, Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
No, that's great. You can go ahead. I'll go next.
An example that came to my mind, we have a brother and sister who graduated about 20 years ago who have stayed really involved with our institution. They had a big family connection to Chaminade, but they created an organization called Floating Doctors. And they have now created these mobile medical units that are sent in Haiti, Honduras, Panama, just to name a few places. And they bring free medical treatment to places that really will not have the capability without them. And it's been a great partnership with them. I think they received an education that made them want to give back and to help others. So they use their gifts to create this organization. And now we're able to partner with them currently and have them come back and speak for our students, to do fundraising for them. And we actually have students who go and volunteer with them and spend summertime really helping bring medication and medical help to those who are in dire need of it. So I think for me, that was one big example that they've really taken on what they've learned here at Chaminade and made the world a better place. But I think looking at our alumni in general, that urge to serve was a foundational experience that they got here at Chaminade, and many of our students go on to into the field of helping others through nonprofit organizations, through if they're an athlete, making sure that they have a good foundation. So many different examples, but Floating Doctors, I think, is a great organization, and you can check them out online if you're interested in learning more. But it's a wonderful opportunity for our students currently and to as the showcase of an alumni.
Great.
I think for me, I just look at the number of graduates who have come back to teach at the school. Many of who I currently work with, and these are people I taught, but again, they got something there that they want to come back and give to others. And they all talk about, the strength of their experience there as a part of it. I've also had the opportunity last number of years to serve as a spiritual mentor for the local Elan community. And again, working with them, not just, people who've been at my school, but others in this community who are kind of taking this beyond, taking it into their own workplace, things like that there, and really seeing it make a difference. One of our things we began a number of years ago that I guess we can now say is a tradition was at our Founders Day Mass, we would invite some of our students. We have a little award we call the Faces of the Founder. Twice a year, students choose one of their peers who they think is really emulating the spirit of our founders, and there's one on each level. And so we usually invite the junior and senior winners to speak at the Chaminade celebration. What does it mean for you to have been a part of, Marianist and Ursuline education for us? And again, similar to what Kate was saying, every single one of them talks about an appreciation of the role of service in their life and their desire to serve. I remember particularly one kid in his talk, he says, I just want to be a good person. And I thought, what a great role. What a great role. But I think they go beyond that. I think they go beyond just being good persons. And hopefully they're capturing that sense of mission that, in the same way we've been transformed through our experience, you go out and hopefully transform the world.
As for me, so St. Mary's High School, St. John Vianney High School, and then Chaminade College Prep in St. Louis have all had real storied traditions. They've all been pillars of the St. Louis Catholic education scene for many, many years. Our two most recent bishops, people have been elevated to the bishop in our archdiocese, are graduates of St. Mary's High School. Our most recent mayor was a St. Mary's grad. It's just a proud rock in South City where people know that you can go to get a great education in your faith. The previous director of vocations in the archdiocese was a Chaminade grad. So just the strong character that the brothers have been able to develop in those different schools, they've all got such proud traditions. St. Mary's right now is in a kind of a rough part of the town. They're a little concerned about the stability of the neighborhood around them. And what the Archdiocese has done in partnership with St. Mary's High School is to create the St. Joseph program, which the Archdiocese is using to buy dilapidated homes around St. Mary's High School and then work with the students at St. Mary's to repair those homes in a Habitat for Humanity way, and with the families of St. Mary's as well. So that's a real way in which St. Mary's continues to be a Catholic rock, standing there in a community that is on the bubble, could fall at some point. But they're trying to bring Catholic families into the community to raise it up, to build some stability down there. And then finally, insofar as the way that Marianist education affects the world, I just think about our wonderful grads who become such great fathers. Of course, we're single sex, so just fathers for us, and husbands and coaches and the teachers that we have. Dave McCoy graduated from Chaminade about 30 years ago, give or take. And he spearheads our greatest success with our service program here at Chaminade. We go to the only shelter dedicated to just men, where they can have a bed and stay for weeks and months at a time. And we at Chaminade go and make breakfast for them every Saturday and Sunday morning, and make them meals every Saturday night, 52 weeks a year. It's a really big program. And Dave McCoy, a Chaminade grad who learned about justice and peace at the school and got his commitment to community service as a student, is there every single weekend so faithfully. Just a great example of a man who was raised by the Marianists to be really committed to service and justice in his community and put so much time into it, in addition to raising 4 kids and teaching sixth grade PE at the school and just doing a wonderful job.
Good, thanks. From that macro level, shrinking down just a little bit, we all know that the Marianists, sisters and brothers, have never been a teaching order per se. Have gotten into education, but that wasn't the foundation of the Marianist family. It was about forming Christian community and building up the church, and education became a way to do that. I've always felt that Marianist education is a gateway into the rest of the Marianist family, and some of you have shared some things about that. I wonder if, before we take a break here, if there are any other thoughts you have about the ways that Marianist education can serve the rest of the Marianist family specifically.
Well, I was thinking, you know, again, I mentioned before the Lalonde community. So this Saturday, it happens that the Lalonde community is going to meet with our Marianist Lake community, you know. So again, you know, we have some educators to talk about what is our link together. You know, we have, you know, we're all involved in this ministry. We're all involved in trying to reach out. You know, so it's a way that we're trying to build a connection, look at further into kind of the ways that we can enhance one another. I think too, you know, we've been gifted in the schools to be able to learn so much about our tradition, about our founders and that sort of thing. You know, so we have opportunities there that maybe many other people in the Marianist family haven't had. So to bring that to them as well, you know, but primarily I think it's relational. You know, it's we come down, we build family together in a variety of different circumstances. You know, so it's got that ripple effect that just kind of goes out and touches so many different components of the Marianist family.
I think it just welcomes people into the Marianist charism and gives them the opportunity to learn about so many people. Wouldn't know the Marianists otherwise, but the Marianists provide this great gift of Catholic education, which people desire. And then they're able to come and experience it through us. And I think that Marianist education gives the Marianist family a great sense of mission. You know, so many of us are dedicated to. It gives us something to want to do. It helps us form the young people who will transform the world, and that, you know, really gets back to what Chaminade was about when he and Marie-Therese and Blessed Adele began everything, the way that they were out to transform the world, and we're able to do that through Marianist education. So the way that it gives us that mission and gives us the forum to welcome people into the charism and to have this transformative effect on society, it's quite awesome what Marianist education does for the Marianist family.
Just building on both of what Bill and Matt said and kind of echoing it, I think we're really educating the future, and our excitement will hopefully transfer to them. I reflect on like the Marianist table and how there are no chairs at the table so that they can go out and meet with other people and keep that mission alive. And I think that's what the experience that our institutions do, so that when they grow and mature and hopefully continue in Marianist education, they will have that foundation of our charism and what our founders really wanted us to do. And as they become adults and have children of their own, that they will remember that foundation and want to share the story of our founders with them and who we are as a Marianist community. So I think it really is about planting those seeds that I may not necessarily see what comes out and what builds upon it, but really giving them that foundation and that connection to who we are as a Marianist community.
Very good, thanks. Thank you very much for all of your comments so far, but we're not finished. We're about halfway through. We will take a short break, 5 minutes. I have 8:17 on my clock, so at 8:22 sharp, we will pick up again. In the meantime, if you do have questions for the panel, remember that you can use that chat feature. Just click on it and it'll open up a little window where you can type some questions and keep these panelists on their toes. So see you in 5.